Oh, what a beautiful day. Now I'm thinking, Laura, always as an actor, you know, it's always good to take on all sorts of different roles, but I think there's probably nothing more delightful, wonderful and terrifying when it's work that you haven't seen before. So when Aideen came to you and said, we've got 4 different plays, I want you to get involved here, were you not tempted to go, oh?
Yeah, well, for starters, children and anyone around me were like, you're never doing a play again. That was the starters. After I was Juno and the Paycock, it was like, okay, you go back there and we're no longer a thing. So I was like, okay, that's... And then I heard Aideen was involved. So that was it. And I went, okay. Aideen came back, and to be honest, because she directed me and Juno in Greystones Players, and I just think she's wonderful to work with. I went, okay, I'll give it another go. So I got the permission slips written from those around me.
Right.
Said, oh, you know, give us a hand. And eventually I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. So it was scary, and it's very different. Because this time, they've gone down the route of 4 short plays. That's what Aideen's chosen. So it's a very different departure from what was there before. And it's Americana, it's called. There are 4 one-acts. They're all very powerful. And it's funny how something can pack a punch in such a short space of time. I did the one-act drama festival before, so I saw lots of one-acts. But 4 in one night on the stage, as you'd imagine, is quite a feat to try and accomplish with sets and schedules and actors, especially when you're dealing with Greystones Players. Everyone's giving up our time, so we're just having a bit of fun, you know? But everyone has things they need to be doing. Everyone's busy, so it's trying to fit everything in. But it's been amazing so far. The group are lovely. The rehearsal schedule's a bit grueling at times, but yeah, so it's 4 American short plays. Yeah. I'm in 2. I'm in the Bond.
You're in the 2 good ones, you told me.
Oh, the 2 best.
Yes.
I never said that. Just to clarify. A little troublemaker
you said the
here.
greatest.
So the Bond is Amy Lowell and Robert Frost, and it's a combination. And this is a real challenge because there's 3 of us, 3 actresses. We are standing there, we're telling our stories, but they're not connected. So these are all American, by the way, sort of snapshots of American life at the beginning of the 20th century, so early. They're all around those times. So there's themes going through them all that are quite similar.
Well, I was going to say, because the only one I'm familiar with is Tennessee Williams, and I could see the pattern was there. But then I realised, especially with Tennessee Williams, who's sort of like our Joyce or Casey or even American Shakespeare, in the sense that he captured a certain time in America, and it's universal, and it's also timeless, because when you look at something like Streetcar Named Desire, that it's not really about that time. It's about the dynamics of, you know, a delusional, you know, kind of broken woman, and that kind of macho image that guys can throw forward that becomes a cloak for being, you know, rude and all this. But anyway,
his stuff, that sort of stuff, like he was obsessed with writing, so he wrote all the time, non-stop. Right. He was really sick as a child, got a typewriter for present, kept writing and writing. And the ones you're talking about, like Cat Hot in a Tin Roof.
Cat Hot in a Tin Roof. Yeah, and all that, Glass Menagerie, all these.
But this one that we're doing is very, very different. So he died in the 80s, but this didn't end up being published till 20 years after he died. So we're talking quite far on. But he was obsessed with New Orleans and those sort of areas around there in the States. And this particular play is very, very powerful. It's about... So he struggled a lot with all sorts of things like addiction and religion. He had a thing about religion because his close friend of his had changed over to Catholicism, and he was wondering where he was going to go with that. And he ended up that he was sort of obsessed with churches and religion. And in this, there's a spiritualist, Mother de Clos, and I am the darker spirit, the woman in the rear is what I'm called in this particular play.
I'm hearing a lot of typecasting here now.
But will I tell Paul I won't?
No.
But yeah, so the thing I suppose that was challenging for me with this is I have to use racist terms, pretty bad ones. And
again, typecasting.
Yeah. And there was a, you know, at the beginning we were like, should we be changing it? Should we take out these words? And then we were like, can you change the way a time was?
Sure.
Like, so Mother de Clos, Octoroon, so 8th generation, and I'm not a particularly nice person in the play, which...
Right.
The abuse and stuff. The abuse came quite easy, but no, it's an amazing play, and it's very powerful. And it's an ensemble piece, so everyone no matter how small the part within it, everybody comes together to make it a really powerful piece. Because the people that are sitting around the room that are sort of ensconced in this spiritualist encounter are also, so it's just a lovely piece. And the bond is 3 women telling stories, looking straight ahead.
Right.
But there's no cues for us to really learn from this, because the other person's story isn't intertwined with yours. So you're literally going, yours you with Juno or something, you have somewhere to go.
Sure.
And then the other ones we've got Heart in the Ground, Douglas Hill.
Okay.
That's about a young farming couple struggling to cope with bereavement. And then there's Trifles as well, Susan Glaspell, who was an American playwright who did sort of, she won Pulitzer, but she was amazing. She did loads for sort of females in the playwright world in the States. So yeah, they're 4 sort of, it's interesting, the themes that run through them are many things, even with the modernisation of society you'd see today. Do you know?
You see, my trust would always be someone like Aideen, the director now, and she sort of founded Greystones Players. I know this is her passion, so I just trust her choices.
Exactly.
When she comes down to like deciding, well, this is what we should try, and this is what work, you know, within what we have and how we. So, you know, in my, as I said, I only know of Tennessee Williams. I wouldn't know the other 3. Robert Frost, the poet, I know a little bit, but the works themselves would be new to me. So I would just sort of trust that idea that, you know, somebody's going to present these 4 because they fit together for them, and they feel that you will feel a certain kind of connection between each one. And I guess the Americana
that run
thing
through them, even though they're totally, obviously different in their own ways. There's themes like loss and love that run all the way through them, so they're sort of interconnected in a way as well. But from 4 very different one-acts, they really pack a punch. So if anyone hasn't got the tickets, because I don't know if there's many left. I mean, let's be honest, get them now. But yeah, as you said, trust Aideen Moulton's a fantastic
if somebody
director,
loves
and she's
something,
putting it on.
I kind of trust their taste, you know, that they would, if they like jazz, I'll say, well, if they love jazz, chances are if they tell me this record's great, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Now that feeling too that you get from, obviously with the beautiful Rob, you've had a huge amount of, you know, experience presenting, TV, radio and all that. It's a different muscle though, isn't it, when you go up on stage as somebody else?
Totally different.
And that fear that's there, I think, in any living human being about just stepping out in front of a room full of other people who are just going to look at you, is that helped by your work on radio and all that, or is it something?
If I said no, I'd be lying. Right. However, it's such a different discipline.
Right.
Like, and I suppose with radio, I go in, and because I've been doing the breakfast show on the East Coast for God, nearly 20 years now, it's sort of like being in my sitting room with Rob. Right. Whereas this is a lot more fear-inducing. Sort of everything's sort of it just gives me an energy. I love it. It's very different though. But I would imagine, if I was honest, I suppose, having done presenting and stuff before and emceeing and that, it does make you a little bit more equipped to probably get up. But the feeling is one you wouldn't be, it's very different to the radio.
Being out of the comfort zone is an amazing adrenaline. It can be obviously fear-based and all that, but it's still a huge rush to just go somewhere that you don't normally allow yourself. And I think also people in the room with you, like I've done a little bit of TV and all that, and I would never think about the fact that people are out there watching it. But if they were sat there in front of me, even 10 people, I'd feel so conscious of it. So it's a different.
It's a bit like getting up. I remember getting up to do a bidding prayer at a wedding, and I was like, oh God, why am I like this? When I, but it is. So it is like that. But I think that's part of the beauty of theatre, and the fact that everyone's left. And they will. These plays are those type of plays, like the Bond specifically. When you first see it, you think, oh, these stories are connected, and then you realise these 3 women are in totally different, separate places in their life, telling different stories. It's really interesting piece of theatre. So everyone's going to have their own perception of it, but it's lovely.
So would you have, like, I don't know if there's a plan here, whether you just enjoy these challenges or whether you feel, well, you know, I wouldn't mind kind of stepping into film a little bit more. Like, I wouldn't mind stepping out into, because, you know, we are a fairly well-known sort of backdrop for a lot of TV and movies and all that.
No, I don't. No. Like, honestly, there was a time, and I know, there was actually, when I was reading and stuff more about Tennessee Williams, because to be honest, all I knew was some of his movies, and I was looking up and I saw he'd written a quote actually, which basically...
the suffering thing you mentioned, it sounds great.
No, there was a few, but there was one that said, what on earth can you do on this earth but catch whatever comes near you with both fingers until your fingers are broken. And I thought, God, that's amazing. So I'm really, because I've lost a
I
few
actually think
people.
that's a Trump quote. I think he's.
Is it Trump?
I think he's always
maybe
grabbing.
I
He's
misread
always
it,
grabbing,
actually.
yeah.
Could be.
But yes.
But when I was reading about him, I was like, that's pretty amazing, because I think having lost a few people in the last few years, I've really realised that you have to do things that are really important and that you enjoy. So for instance, I haven't done acting in a few years and I was like, I'm going back to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've 3 children to look after. They take up a lot of my time, and I've sort of realised my priorities are different. So I don't have an urge to,
Yeah.
mind you, I still like.
But it would give you more time away from the kids, though. Like if you're going to film and you could be on a set for 6 months somewhere. That would be amazing.
Okay, actually, yes, sign me up.
So we'll say this is running in June 13th to the 16th,
Yeah.
the Thursday to the Sunday, and we'll put a link to the tickets and all that. But it is something, as I said, that when somebody that I know loves what they're doing, I'll trust what they choose. But if people can get a chance, watch Marlon Brando in Streetcar Named Desire, or Paul Newman and Liz Taylor in Cat in the Hot Tin Roof, just to get yourself in that sort of deep south.
Yeah.
And it's that boiling kind of point always, that there's things have been unsaid and they're about to be said, which Williams
Also,
always.
I would say, and I didn't know much about Tennessee Williams bar those. I read a bit about him, and when you know a bit about him and the troubled life he had and the troubled soul he was, it makes them even more scintillating to watch. So, just if you haven't looked, just if this is recent for me, have a look and then watch those films, and you'll be like, wow, hidden messages all over the shop wall.
Rock and roll.